Stop scrolling. Do you truly believe it's a coincidence that you were separated from your mother? No, this is not random. You are here for a reason, because you are a chosen one. This separation is part of God's deliberate plan to set you apart. The pain you felt isn't pointless. It's part of your divine preparation. What if everything you've endured was meant to sharpen and strengthen you for a higher calling? Don't ignore this moment. Ask yourself, are you ready? Ready to embrace the reason God has set you apart for something greater? You've always sensed the weight of separation, like a chasm that couldn't be crossed. It might have led you to question your place, your value, or even your worth in God's eyes. But this was never a sign of abandonment. It was a divine design. This deliberate act by the Almighty carved out a sacred space where He could mold you, free from earthly distractions. The absence you felt wasn't an oversight. It was refinement, a fire testing and purifying your soul. He separated you from your mother not to deny you love, but to prepare you for a love far greater than what the world could offer. In that absence, God speaks to you more clearly and powerfully, drawing you closer to His purpose. You were never meant to blend in with the crowd. Your path was always destined to be unique. From childhood, while others found comfort in a mother's embrace, you stood alone, questioning why you bore the ache of isolation. But that isolation was not a weakness. It was strength in the making. It was God's way of teaching you to rely on Him, like a warrior trained in the wilderness, stripped of all comforts, so that only the essentials remain. You were being honed for something higher, refined by the very separation you wrestled with. God sees the love you've longed for, the connection you may have envied in others. But that void was not left empty. It was filled with His divine purpose. He freed you from earthly attachments because your mission requires a strength unlike any other. It's a strength not cushioned by constant affirmation or maternal warmth, but sustained by the unshakable force of God's love. His unseen hand has been shaping you in ways that can only be revealed through this separation. Picture the world as a battlefield, and you are a soldier trained in solitude for a war you may not even have realized you were fighting. While others relied on the comfort of their mothers, God required you to learn how to stand firm on your own. In the quiet of your isolation, you found Him. In the emptiness left by the absence of a mother's love, you discovered a love that is perfect, unending, and faultless. This survival in the void has forged a strength and resilience that others cannot comprehend. The separation you've endured is not a punishment, but a preparation, a training ground designed by God Himself. It's the sculptor's chisel shaping a block of marble, cutting away what is unnecessary to reveal the masterpiece within. Every moment of distance has been a divine act, molding you into the person He has called you to be. Trust in His plan, for it is through this journey that His purpose for you will be revealed. An intentional stroke, carving you into the vessel God needs for His work. That is what your pain and separation have always been. It may have felt like a burden, a weight too heavy to carry, but that burden was always destined to become the wings that lift you higher. In His infinite wisdom, God removed earthly comforts to bestow upon you a divine purpose. You were never meant to follow the crowd or be bound by the same ties that hold others. He set you apart to sanctify you, to claim you as His own, untainted by the world's fleeting definitions of love. What you perceived as absence, God saw as His presence. What you thought was isolation was His invitation for you to step fully into the person He created you to be. God's separation of you from your mother was no accident. It was deliberate. This emotional and relational distance served as a signal that you are chosen. While it may have felt like abandonment or neglect, what you endured was part of God's refining fire. The conflict, the strained words, the unspoken coldness. These were tools, like a hammer against stone, breaking away what was not meant to remain. In this divine chiseling, He shaped you into something stronger, more resilient, and capable of withstanding life's inevitable storms. Every argument, every cutting remark, every manipulation was a lesson in standing firm. You were not simply hurt, you were sharpened. The battles you've faced with your mother have been some of the fiercest of your life. They were not mere disagreements but cosmic clashes, struggles between the person you are called to be and what the world would have you remain. The sting of criticism, the constant manipulation, the emotional sabotage, each wound was intentional, a part of God's plan to prepare you for something beyond the ordinary. Through these scars, you gained armor that others do not have. While many falter under life's pressures, you have already endured the heat of the furnace, emerging stronger and unshakable. The question that lingers for many is, why? Why did your relationship with your mother seem destined for pain? The answer is both simple and profound. God never intended for you to rely on her for your identity. Her presence in your life, with all its toxicity, whether from jealousy or her own unresolved wounds, was never meant to define you. Instead, it was meant to show you the insufficiency of earthly relationships and draw you closer to Him. In every moment you sought her validation and were denied, God was training you to find your worth in Him alone. You were not meant to seek approval from the world or even from family. Your true value comes from your Creator. Through this struggle, He ensured that you understand this truth at your very core. This separation, this lack of attachment to your family, particularly your mother, is not a mark of failure. On the contrary, it is a sign that you were chosen for a purpose that transcends the ordinary bounds of human relationships. Others may be tethered to emotional chains of toxic family ties, bound by expectations and unhealthy dynamics. But not you. God has given you the freedom to walk a different path, to rise above the entanglements that hold others back. The emotional distance you felt was more than just a painful reality. It was a clear indication that you have been set apart for something extraordinary. Through every wound, every tear, every lonely moment, God has been preparing you for a destiny that few can understand, let alone achieve. You are not bound by the limitations of your family. You are chosen, separated for a divine purpose, and that separation is the very evidence of the greatness to come. This journey of refinement has equipped you with the resilience and strength to step into your calling. You are not alone. If you have felt the pain of separation and the weight of finding your identity beyond earthly ties, know that you are part of a greater community. Our community, now with over 200 members and growing, is filled with others who have walked similar paths. Together, we share our stories, uplift one another, and rise as chosen ones ready to fulfill our divine missions. In our star chamber, you gain exclusive access to uncensored videos and powerful truths, along with direct connections to the creators behind Obsidian and Astral Atom. You'll also receive insights from modern manifestation techniques designed to turn your wounds into weapons and your trials into triumphs. There are only a few slots left in the Star Chamber Discord server, reserved for high-caliber chosen ones ready to embrace their calling. Join us, connect with others who understand your journey, and take the next step into your divine destiny. Their full power awaits you. Don't wait. The link is in the description. Click now to join the Obsidian Inner Order, fortify your spirit, and connect with those who truly understand your journey. The division you've experienced with your family is not only purposeful, but also scripturally rooted. In Luke 12:51-53, Jesus himself declared that he did not come to bring peace but division, even within families. This separation is not merely a disruption of harmony, but a divine wedge that splits you away from the ordinary, the expected, and the earthly, so that you can ascend to the extraordinary purpose God has for you. Your separation from your mother, the emotional and relational rift, is a manifestation of this divine divide. It is not a sign of failure, but a mark that you are set apart, chosen for something that transcends familial bonds and earthly expectations. This division often begins at the heart of the family, the place where emotional ties can be the tightest. Jesus himself faced this when his parents did not understand his mission, as seen in Luke 2:48-49. Just as Jesus distanced himself from earthly expectations, you too have been called to step away from the constraints and misunderstandings of your family. Your mother may not grasp the weight of your calling. She may see your path as strange or even wrong, but this misunderstanding is part of God's design. It pulls you away from what is comfortable and familiar to sharpen you for the divine mission set before you. Her disapproval or lack of understanding is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of the unique calling you've been given, a calling that defies ordinary measures and definitions. You were never meant to seek her approval or base your value on her acceptance. God's purpose for you required this separation, difficult as it might be, to ensure that your identity would be rooted in Him and not in any human relationship. The division is painful, yes, but it is necessary. God's love for you is too fierce to allow you to be tethered to anything that would hinder your ascent into the purpose He has prepared for you. Your mother, with all her struggles, jealousy, and brokenness, cannot comprehend the heights to which God is calling you. Her words, her criticisms, and her manipulations were never meant to destroy you. They were meant to build you. They have forged you into someone who can rise above earthly wounds and grasp divine strength. Her emotional sabotage was the anvil on which God hammered you into a warrior, one who can withstand the storms and trials ahead. You were not chosen for an easy path. You were chosen for a path that requires resilience, one that demands you break away from anything that might weigh you down. Jesus, who separated from His own earthly family, knew the pain of being misunderstood by those closest to Him. Like Him, you are called to a higher purpose, one that will often create a gap between you and those you love. This gap is not an accident. It is the space where God's voice becomes clearer, where His purpose for you becomes undeniable. In this space, you are no longer bound by human expectations, but are free to walk fully in the calling that God has placed on your life. The division within your family, especially with your mother, is the clearest sign that God has set you apart. You are not meant to stay within the confines of earthly relationships that cannot contain your purpose. You are called to something greater, and the separation is God's way of ensuring that nothing holds you back. Every tear, every heartache, every conflict has been a step closer to the person God is molding you to become. You are chosen, and the division is your path to greatness. Separation from your earthly mother, with all the heartache and unresolved tension it carries, serves a divine purpose. Through this pain, God is refining you, preparing you to step fully into the destiny He has designed just for you. Trust in His plan, for it is through this journey that your extraordinary purpose will be fulfilled. When the love and support that should come from a parent falls short or feels absent, you are not left abandoned. Instead, God Himself steps in to fill the gaps. This is not merely a consolation, but an intentional part of His design. The distance, the lack of fulfillment in that relationship, propels you toward Him with a force that cannot be ignored. Every unmet emotional need, every moment of loneliness, serves as a catalyst for your connection to God. He draws you closer in ways that an earthly parent never could. God is not simply a replacement for what you lack. He is the original source of everything your soul craves. While an earthly mother may provide nurture, God offers something far deeper, a love that is unwavering, boundless, and infinitely perfect. The separation you feel is not a punishment or an oversight. It is a deliberate removal of distractions that would keep you from fully leaning into the strength and protection only God can offer. What you perceive as emotional neglect or failure from your mother is, in fact, the space where God's presence takes root and grows stronger. He does not just meet your needs, He surpasses them. In this space of separation, God's role in your life becomes undeniable. The world may tell you that the bond between parent and child is unbreakable and essential, but God has chosen to break that mold for you. The earthly ties that others cling to, God has loosened for you to ensure that your attachment to Him is unshakable. He wanted your dependence to be on him alone, not diluted by the affections and shortcomings of a human relationship. Through every tear and every moment of silence from your mother, he was building in you a spiritual resilience that draws its strength from a well that never runs dry. Your earthly mother, with all her limitations, could never have filled the divine role that God holds in your life. Her inability to meet your emotional or spiritual needs was never a reflection of your worth, but rather a signal that those needs were always meant to be fulfilled by your Heavenly Father. God did not design you to rely on human affection because he knew that no human could give you the perfect love, guidance, and protection that he offers. The separation you feel is, in reality, an invitation to lean fully on him, to find in him everything you have ever longed for. This separation was always part of God's plan to strengthen your dependence on him. As the emotional ties to your earthly mother weakened, your connection to God intensified. The more distant that relationship became, the closer you were drawn into the arms of your Creator. He saw your pain, your confusion, and he has been waiting for you to realize that he is the one who provides all that you need. He is not simply a spiritual crutch, but the firm foundation on which you stand, the everlasting source of strength that no earthly relationship could ever match. You are commanded to honor your mother, not because of how she treated you, but because of who you are called to be. The division between you is undeniable. It was forged by divine purpose, not mere circumstance. God's plan for you required this separation. Yet even in the midst of this distance, his word remains clear. You must honor her. This command, found in Deuteronomy 5:16, is not conditional upon her behavior or the pain you've endured, but upon your identity as a chosen one. Your response to this divine instruction is a reflection of your obedience to God, not of her worthiness. Honoring your mother is a radical act of spiritual defiance against the wounds inflicted. It is not about erasing the scars or pretending that the emotional distance doesn't exist. It is about rising above the pain, stepping into the calling that sets you apart, and choosing to walk in the path God has laid before you. To honor her means to acknowledge the role she has played, however flawed, in shaping your life. It means refusing to let bitterness take root, and instead allowing grace to flourish in its place. Your honor is not submission to her control, nor is it an endorsement of the wrongs done. It is a reflection of your strength in God, a strength that enables you to rise above the hurt and live according to the standards he has set for you. This act of honoring her is crucial for your spiritual growth and alignment with God's will. It is through this act that you demonstrate the transformative power of his love and grace in your life. Spiritual growth often forces us to confront the raw edges of our pain, not to surrender, but to triumph. It transforms us, teaching us to forgive, not because someone deserves it, but because we need it. Forgiveness is a gateway to freedom, breaking the chains of resentment that hinder spiritual progress. The honor you offer is not for the benefit of others, but for yourself. It is the path that unlocks the blessings God has prepared for you. Harboring unforgiveness closes the door to those blessings, and God calls you to rise above the pain, not to reconcile what is broken, but to align with his purpose. Honoring someone who has hurt you is an act of spiritual obedience. It's not about their worthiness or your justification. It's about the person God is calling you to be. You are chosen, set apart, and God requires more from you than the world expects. This obedience aligns you with his will, unlocking a spiritual power that transforms your life. It declares that your allegiance is to God, even when it comes at a personal cost. The separation you've experienced is not a punishment. It is a crucible, a refining fire to mold you into the person God needs. You are not meant to be bound by the familiar or content with the ordinary. God has called you to a higher purpose that demands growth beyond what others can understand. This separation is his method of pruning your life to bear the fruit necessary for his kingdom. It is in the sacred ground of transformation, stripped of earthly connections, that God can work most profoundly in your life. Loneliness may feel sharp, but it is in this space that God's hand is clearest. The distance from those who once filled your world is not random, it is deliberate, setting you apart for something greater. God silences other voices so that you can hear Him alone. This process is not meant to weaken you, but to strip away vulnerabilities, refining your character and strengthening you for the mission ahead. Just as metal must endure fire to become unbreakable, so too must you endure the heat of separation. Relationships that once defined or limited you are being removed because they no longer serve God's higher purpose for your life. This is not rejection, but promotion to a calling greater than you could have imagined. Every moment of pain, every ounce of distance, is God chiseling away the unnecessary, shaping you into the vessel He needs for His glory. Do not see this separation as failure. It is confirmation of your calling, a sign that you were never meant to blend into the ordinary. You are designed for the extraordinary, and this refinement ensures that your purpose will be fulfilled without hindrance. God is molding you into someone who can carry His mission boldly, with unwavering strength. Your struggles are not in vain. They are a testimony to the work God is doing within you. You are not defined by past relationships or the pain of separation. You are defined by the divine calling that marks your life. Step forward boldly, knowing that this is part of your preparation for greatness. Now is the time to embrace this truth. Share your story and your growth, because your journey can inspire others to find strength in their struggles and trust in God's perfect plan. You are not alone. There are others walking this path, and together, your testimonies will shine as a beacon of hope. If this message resonates with you, please like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel for more uplifting content. Your support allows us to continue spreading these messages of faith and hope. Let us rise together in God's purpose, boldly stepping into the extraordinary lives He has called us to. You are chosen. Never forget that.